They say a stranger was buried on their family plot instead of their loved one. News 12's Tama Ponton joining us now to explain from the cemetery in Lindenhurst. Tama.
Well, Doug and Katie, the two women I spoke with, say they thought that they were burying their father at this family plot here in Lindenhurst. However, they say a stranger is buried here. So their lawyer says the $60 million lawsuit was filed in an effort to get answers and accountability for this grieving and heartbroken family.
It never crosses your mind that they're giving you the wrong body. It's not your loved one.
Stacy, Holzman, and Megan Zaner say they are angry and grief-stricken after their father, Clifford, died back in February while in the hospital in South Carolina and was supposed to be buried in their family plot at Mount Ararat Cemetery in Lindenhurst. But the sisters say the wrong man was buried, and now they have filed a $60 million lawsuit.
The actions are so egregious that we need to come up with something that's going to get their attention.
Stacy says she knew something was wrong as soon as the casket was opened.
I freaked out. I didn't recognize who was in the casket.
Stacy and Megan say their dad always had a mustache. They say the person they saw in the casket was clean shaven and had a scar across his head that looked like stitches.
The funeral director was dismissive, saying, oh, it's standard if somebody passes away in a hospital. And I said, but I don't recognize him.
She says the service was stopped and a representative with Star of David assured her that it was their father in the casket and wearing his favorite Led Zeppelin t-shirt that he wanted to be buried in. But their lawyer, Uniondale-based Rizzuto, says eventually the funeral home in South Carolina admitted that Clifford Zaner was not the person whose body had been shipped to New York in the casket.
The funeral home in South Carolina was very apologetic to the family. They admitted they made a mistake. The representatives from Star of David said we did nothing wrong. It was all the fault of the funeral home in South Carolina.
Stacy and Megan say they want an apology for the companies to admit that they made a mistake and for quality controls to be put in place so nothing like this ever happens again.
I can't even wrap my mind around somebody else being buried in my dad's favorite t-shirt. I mean, that's one of the hardest parts.
It was emotional, it was traumatizing. We had to identify my dad after 3 weeks. That was really hard. And the Led Zeppelin shirt is really heavy on me.
Now, when I reached out to Star of David Chapel today for a comment, they hung up the phone on me. The Zaner sisters tell me they were eventually able to bury their father in Florida. However, they say a stranger remains buried at their family plot.